Hey guys, a lot of you have been asking about my bike packing setup, so today I'm going to walk you through my setup for the Black Canyon Trail. This is my RSD Sargent V3. It's an aluminum frame, size small. I've got a few reviews about this bike and a lot of information on my channel. It worked wonderfully for bike packing. If there's one thing I could change, I would shorten the chainstay just a little. I say that on almost every bike. I did notice, especially how I load it up, it's very front heavy. I could get the back wheel to spin a little bit on some of the climbs, but on all the turns and stuff, it actually felt quite planted. Super awesome bike. Probably my favorite part of this bike right now is the RSD rigid aluminum fork. That is the way to go. It has 6 water bottle mount bosses on each side. Down here I'm running a Blackburn outpost cage with a salsa. I think this is an, I can't remember the name of this bag, anything bag. One on each side. It works extremely well. I've got my cook pot in here, my stove, and my fuel. On this side I keep food. It's empty now because my trek's over. For that trip I cooked up a bunch of these rice bars from Scratch Labs. They were super good, but extremely heavy. They were heavier than water. So I don't know that I would do that again, at least not quite so much. On the upper part of my fork, I've got some water bottle cages. And this is just a cheap Amazon special. It was like $9, this water bottle cage. But it wasn't, its foundation, it wasn't enough to keep my bottles in. When I would play around and jump around, my bottle fell out. So I had to strap it on with this volet strap. On this side, I'm running a right release specialized SWAT water bottle cage, a side entry one like this. I love that. And down here it's got the SWAT tool, the little quick multi-tool. Let's see, can't pull it out this second, but it's a multi-tool in there. That worked fabulously. So what I want to do is get a left entry one and put it on this one, so then I can put all my water bottles in there. In the past, I've run the little water bottle, the little bolt-on bucket things up here, and I really like those too, and I might alternate between those. If your fork doesn't have mounts like this, that's what I would run for water. I drink a lot of water when I ride, which kind of proved to be a problem on that trip, but especially being in the desert, I want quick access to it, but I also want it down low because water's heavy. I also kept a 1 liter platypus in my Rogue Panda custom frame bag. What I love about the platypus is when it's empty, it takes up 0 space, and when it's full, it kind of conforms to the nooks and crannies. I need to talk about this bag. This bag is amazing. I had it built for my middle child frame, but it fits this quite well. These aggressive geometry hardtails have tiny front triangles, and I cannot find anyone that makes one that's the right dimension. So I looked up Rogue Panda. They're local to me. They're in Flagstaff, Arizona, and they have you take a picture of your frame and they trace that picture and cut it exactly to your frame. This one has frame mount bolts underneath, so I can just bolt it to the water bottle holder. That's fewer straps going under here. It's also got this stretchy panel right here, so when you overload it, it doesn't stress the zipper. This little black part is elastic, and it gives a little bit to not put stress on your zipper. And then on the other side, it also has another pocket. This one's not as deep. It's more like a map pocket. In here I kept my cactus comb, my eating utensils, small things like that. So most of my weight was on the front of my bike with cook pot, food and stuff weighted down on the forks. Up here's my sleeping system. I've got a sleeping pad. I've got a bug net bivvy, which is like a sleeping bag made out of bug net. And I have my quilt in there. It's an Enlightened Equipment Enigma quilt. Super high-end, super light quilt. We do quilts because zippers are heavy and you don't really need them, and you don't really need insulation on your back because when you're sleeping you sit on it and crush it. So a quilt's just kind of like a blanket with a foot pocket, and you just tuck it around and it feels like a sleeping bag, but it's like a pound lighter. So that is attached to an Oveja Negra front end loader. I'll show you what that is in just a sec. I'll take it apart so you can see it. Up here is the Oveja Negra lunchbox. In here I keep First aid is my red bag. One day I'll go through everything in my pack. Headlamp. This is my quick access stuff. Toiletries, my water filter, and 10 essentials in that bag. So that's always ready to go. This bag can be mounted a variety of ways. It can be mounted on top like I have here, or you can swing it forward more. I like it on top because I like to be able to access it. Let me show you how the front system works. This lunchbox is attached with Velcro straps right here, and then it has a big strap here that goes all the way around your front dry bag. So it's separate from the front end loader. Let me show you the front end loader. The front end loader is this reinforced, really tough, durable, I don't want to say rigid, but it feels like there's plastic in there, and it kind of holds this scooping shape to keep your dry bag up here. It also attaches to the bars right here, and then it's got one more strap right here to pull it up into the bike so it doesn't flop around. Now we've got daisy chains here, so you can move that and reposition it. You can attach it down here, you can attach it in the frame. I pulled it up here so it pulled it up a little bit more. Basically, the only purpose for the front end loader is to hold your dry bag. This is a Sea to Summit dry bag. Let's see, what size is this? This is a 13 liter. I wouldn't mind getting something the same diameter, but like 6 inches wider. It doesn't need to be this narrow. If it was wider, I could fit a little more stuff in there, but it worked. You take your dry bag, you put your sleeping stuff in it or whatever you choose to put in it. Then it clips to the front end loader like this. And that holds it out of the way. Now, if you have a suspension fork, every time you hit a bump, this compresses and gets closer to your tire, which is one reason I love the rigid fork. I never had to worry about anything buzzing my tire and ripping open my dry bag. Dry bags are 100% waterproof. You can completely submerge them underwater and your stuff will stay dry. So I always recommend putting sleeping equipment and down material in here, because when down is wet, it does not insulate. And so a down sleeping bag that's wet is good for nothing. Unless you have one of those super fancy ones with some of the insulation that repels water. That's very uncommon. It's pretty high end. We're seeing more and more of that. My bag actually has that, but most don't. So then the lunchbox comes on and it also straps around, comes back here, and it helps support this load as well. Sometimes I crisscross those to give it a little bit more support. This can be adjusted so it's up here, down in the front a little more, but I like it up top. I really like having daisy chains where I can clip lights on, or little straps, or I could strap a rain jacket on there if I needed it to dry where it's out of the way. I think it'd be great if everything had daisy chains. I think if I have daisy chains on the side of this, I would use it all the time, stuff like that. Up here we have the Snack Pack XL. This is a top tube bag, and it connects to the stem and around your frame here. In here, I carry my SteriPen. This is my purifier, water purifier. I carry all my electronics. I carry my Anker 10,000 milliamp battery, which I only use 1/4 of it on this trip. I carry GoPro batteries. I carry cables. I carry my GoPro charger. I had 7 GoPro batteries on this trip. And then when they're dead, I put them in this one so I can keep track of which batteries are charged and which ones aren't. It'd be nice not to have electronics on a trip, but I use this to recharge my Wahoo Cycle computer. I use it to recharge my phone, which has my GPS on it. And I like to document my activities, so I need the cameras and the camera gear. In here I keep snacks that are quick and easy to access, honey stingers, power bars, little snacks and stuff like that. It's amazing how much you can fit in these. And then on my back, I carried a larger Camelback, and I just put my clothes in there. I had my big Western Mountaineering down puffy. I had my Western Mountaineering down pants. I had an extra chamois, some shorts, and some socks and stuff in there. So the whole thing weighed under 2 pounds. So I really didn't notice it while I was riding. It was really lightweight, but it took up a lot of room, and that was a lot better on my back than on the bike. So how did it all work out? Every bike packing trip is a learning experience. I still don't feel like I have it totally dialed to where everything's exactly how I want it, but I get closer every trip. The rigid fork is a game changer for me. I don't know that I'll ever run suspension on bike packing trips. You got a 50-pound bike anyway, 40, 50-pound bike, loaded up with gear. And a suspension fork A is not going to quite perform like you want because all this stuff's moving with it. It's heavy, it's kind of cumbersome. You're not flying along the trail like you normally do. I actually feel like I can go faster with the rigid fork because the geometry doesn't change. Bags don't buzz anything. There's no like heavy loading of the bike. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, especially because it's got these mounting points on it so I can load stuff straight to the forks. These also kind of served as brush guards. There was a lot of catclaw, which is like rose bushes here in Arizona without the roses. And it would hit this, and these would kind of push it out of the way so it didn't hit my legs. I'm a big fan of the Rogue Panda frame bag, the custom frame bag to fit your bike. I've never had a frame bag on my bikepacking rigs because I've never found anything that fit. Most of them are for giant road bikes or really, really big front triangles, which I've never had. This bike is balanced pretty front heavy, which wasn't a problem, except for when I needed to lift up like a foot ledge on the trail and I was pedaling and I'd have to wheelie or lift. It felt like 60% of the weight was on the front. So what I would really like to do is get a rack on the back. I need a dropper. I slammed that so many times and put it all the way down. I have an Oveja Negra seat bag that comes back here, which I've used in the past. But when I drop my dropper, it lowers it into the tire and the tire just chews it up and I don't want to destroy it. I don't want anything rubbing ever. So I left it off on this one. But what I really want is a little rack right here, maybe with some stuff on the side that I can put some weight in the back to have the bike a little bit more balanced because it's definitely front heavy. It wasn't a big problem, but with the long rear end and the heavy front end, it felt interesting at times. That being said, we were bikepacking. We were not, you know, catching air and doing crazy things, and I had an absolute blast. This has been my favorite bikepacking setup I've run yet. I'm excited to tweak it and make it even better in the future. I hope you found that interesting. If you have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I love bikepacking. I love getting out. I love camping, and I love doing it with friends. Stay tuned. We're going to have plenty more bikepacking trips on this channel, and it'll be interesting to see what my setup's like next time. Thanks for watching. There's a party in the mountains, and you're invited.